Okay, we're going to do braised lamb shanks, and so you can see we've got nice lamb shanks here, $4.79 a pound, 2.5 pounds of those, wrapped in plastic right now. And so what we're going to do is basically pan sear these and then set them aside. You'll see how we do the sequence. We're going to have a layer of garlic and tomatoes on the bottom of the braising pot. The lamb will come in on top of that, and then we're going to kind of cook the onion, saute the onion and the celery and the carrots for a bit in a pan. Then we're going to deglaze with some red wine, throw it all in the pot, put some herbs in here. There's thyme, rosemary and some bay leaves, and then add some broth so we got enough braising liquid to braise. So these are the ingredients you can see here. So here's the equipment we're going to use. A nice heavy braising pot. That would be the place where we put all the stuff, and then we put it in the oven. And then there's a saute pan over there that will be doing the pan searing. Okay, so we just finished the prep. We took the shanks out of their wrapping and patted them dry, put them on a plate here. We chopped up the carrot. We just used one carrot there. We chopped up the 3 sticks of celery. We could use less, but I had that was the celery I had left in the fridge, so I decided to just cook it all, which is what I do with recipes, just adjust them. And this is the garlic smashed up, and this is the onion rough chopped. And these are the little tomatoes, and they're just had a knife inserted, so they're just poked with a knife so they don't explode. So little cherry tomatoes. Okay, so now we're going to move with this stuff to cook. So the first thing we're going to do is start off in the pot. We're going to make a layer. We're going to put some olive oil in here and pop the heat on. And then we're going to throw in the garlic in it here. Here we are. Get that going. So let that come up to some heat, and once we got a bit of heat there, we'll throw the tomatoes in. Okay, it's about 45 seconds on, so we're now going to throw these in. And what we're going to do is just let them cook away a little bit in here. So we'll turn the heat down and let them cook. So then we're going to move on to the braising of the lamb while this is cooking. Okay, now while I'm about to braise the lamb shanks, we kind of put some oil in the pan and start the heat on that. And we're going to let that heat up. And I've turned the heat down on the braising pot to kind of just above low, so it's going to cook along slowly. You always adjust things as you're going along. If something's cooking too fast, you can lower the heat and so on. So we're going to let this pan heat up, and then we'll come back when we're ready to braise the lamb shanks. Okay, the oil has a good shimmer on it, so we can just put in the lamb shanks. Just pop them in. You hear that nice. That means these. So what we do is just heat this in the pan for a few minutes, and then roll it around in the pan. Turn the heat down a little bit now, but if there's too much splatter, I'm going to pop this over. We'll just leave that there out of the way at the back. So we'll just let this work away and get some nice sear on this. Okay, it's starting to pop, so I'm going to pop that over here, and we'll come back to turn it. Okay, so what I do here is just loosen this up a bit before I'm going to turn it. It's about a minute, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yeah, so. we're going to turn these things over. You see we're kind of starting to get some nice brown on here. That's the whole point of it. So next, we'll let that go for another couple of minutes and I'll be back. Okay, so we're pretty good here. I'm going to turn the heat down here in this stage. We're going to just get these things off the pan, and I'm going to transfer these across. They kind of come out here. Go across here. We're going to just take these and put these across into the main pot. So we've got some nice brown on these, and that's a good thing. So we got them in the pot. So the next thing is to cook the veggies, to saute the veggies. Heat's on the pan there. So what we're going to do is just throw in the celery and the onions and the carrots. I had 2 carrots to start with on the board when I was showing you the ingredients, so I kind of matched up the carrot in volume to the celery. So I just actually cut up one of the carrots. So this is the nice balance of onions, carrots, and celery, which makes for a nice combination. So we're going to leave that to cook for about 15 minutes. We'll just be turning it over back and forth, and I'll come back when we're done. Okay, this has been running about 5 minutes at pretty high heat. There's a lot of stuff in the pan, so when there's a lot of things in the pan, you want to have the heat up high. You can tell if it's too high because things start to brown up a little bit. But you can see that this is looking pretty good. So we're going to turn the heat off on here just while we do the next stage. And what I'm going to do is move the braising pot over here, turn its heat off. I've had the oven heating up to 300 while I've been doing this. And so we'll bring this across here and then just move everything from this pan into the braising pan. So that's what we do, just get everything in there. And now we're into the one pot part of what's going on. So you can see there, we've got this all in here. So what we got now is the next stage, which is to get the liquid into there for braising. And there was, everything kind of went in from that cook from the lamb, so we don't need to deglaze that pan over there. But what we're going to do, you can add beef broth, or you can add, we're going to turn the heat on now. So now put the heat up high because we're adding cold liquid in to get this braise going. So that's really enough. I had 2 32-ounce things of chicken broth, but that's pretty much enough. And then we're going to put some red wine in here because that helps develop good flavors. The saute, I find, is really important for developing good flavors. If you've got onions and you saute them, they taste terrific. So what we're going to do is put the top on that and bring it up so it's just on a bubble, and then we're going to put it in the oven. So I'll come back when we're at that point. Just as an aside, as we're cooking this away, and we are at the 21-minute mark from starting those tomatoes, so I just threw in some wine. I always use decent wine for cooking. This is decent Pinot Noir. So you can also have a cup of wine, glass of wine while you're cooking away. But that's the wine. We'll be back. Okay, so we're now at the 25-minute mark, and you can see that this is cooking away nicely. So I'm just going to take that top and put it over on a wooden surface while we look at this. And what we've gone here, just to mention, the onion and the carrot and the celery, it's very close to the standard mirepoix, except that the onion is not as finely chopped. Mirepoix is the kind of stuff that the French put together originally for, you know, sauteing and slowly, which is what we just did to bring the flavors out, and then it forms the basis of soups, stews, whatever. So it's basically making a nice broth. So what we're going to do now, since we have all these other nice things to go in here, you put bay leaves in for soups and so on, but it's the same thing here. You've got a nice braising liquid. Why not have the braising liquid have some really nice character to it? So we got putting now in the 2 whole things of rosemary, and then there's the thyme that are around in different parts. It'll all blend in, so we just got to make sure it's down, you know, in the braising liquid here. And so there's no reason to do anything other than put it in sprigs, because you can just pick out, it'll fall off the sprig, and then you pull out the sprigs. You don't need to pull it off. So what we're going to do now is put the top on and put it in the oven. And we're going to put it in the oven at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 hours. And that will make this lamb unbelievably tender, falling off the bone. So I'll come back in 3 hours. Okay, so the timer went off. 3 hours have gone past. I took it out of the stove, and you look at this meat is falling off the bone. Look at this. It's just falling off the bone. Here, look at this. Like that. That is fantastic. And we got this marvelous, marvelous braise that we can now eat. And this is braised lamb shanks. Absolutely fantastic. So here is a plate of the braised lamb. This is all the little pieces. It just fell off the bone, and with all of the gravy and the carrots and celery and so on in this here. And we steamed some sugar snap peas, and I separately braised some cassava, pan-seared it and braised it around here, and it is totally exquisite dish. The lamb is so delicious, it's amazing. And here's another plating. After we'd eaten all of the lamb in that other meal, we had the leftovers, and what happens, you leave it in the fridge, you can skim off, there's some, you know, some fat which you can just skim off the top, and then heat that up, and you get this lovely stew of lamb pieces and the broth from the braise. So this is a totally delicious lunch with some pita bread.